Hey everyone, another lore video today. This time we'll be talking about Dr. Mina Liao, one of the greatest scientific minds in the world of Overwatch and the pioneer of artificial intelligence. Now unfortunately, I do not own Overwatch Declassified. Speaking of which, it's dumb when parts of the game's lore are locked behind a paywall. You'd think they'd make enough money to make it available to all, but whatever. Because I don't have it, I'll be skipping over the early parts of her life that I cannot confirm. Dr. Mina Liao was born in Singapore. From a young age, it was made very obvious that she had a love and talent for the mechanical. She completed primary school 7 years early and then enrolled in a tech university. Later, she enrolled in Oxford University to pursue a doctorate in computer science, which soon turned into a degree in artificial intelligence. She graduated from Oxford at the age of 16. After graduation, Mina quickly found work. Her achievements got noticed by an international company, Omnica Corporation, and she was hired as their youngest ever roboticist. Omnics had become a large part of day-to-day life, created for the tasks that were considered too dangerous or mundane for humans. Despite already being successful in their jobs, Omnica Corp asked Liao to attempt to improve them. Liao saw this as a chance to finally pursue what she had been dreaming of, creating a sentient robot. Her and her team succeeded immensely. Omnica's research division had created some of the most advanced AI yet, creating better machines. Liao quickly became a sensation for her advancements, and appeared regularly on television. She believed there was so much untapped potential, and her passion did not go unnoticed. Still, the corporation and Liao had many critics, those of which claimed her work would have consequences, and that she was pushing the limits, that her experiments would one day go too far. Soon after the rise of her popularity, her employer, Omnica Corporation, was involved in many scandals. Liao did not seem to be involved or even aware, her mind entirely on her own projects. In the events of Genesis Dawn, we get to see what, or rather who, cast her further into the spotlight. Aurora, the world's first truly sentient robot. Despite the division it caused amongst her workplace, Liao claimed to be fully aware of the risks associated with her project. She wanted to make the world a better place, and to her, the advancement felt like the correct path. The scientist actually hadn't originally intended for her creation to be sentient, and Liao had absolutely no idea why it had happened. Later, she did end up figuring out that it was a 1 in a billion event, to do with the passage of a subatomic particle. Eventually, Liao campaigned for Aurora to be given legal status as a person, and even won the battle in court despite much of the population being wary about such an advanced AI. Such further research was limited, and the creation of Aurora put pressure on Omnica Corp. Many investigations proved that corporate fraud had been committed by the company, and it was soon shut down. After the Omnic crisis had begun, Liao was recruited into Overwatch. After all, who better to help fight the Omnics than the one who had helped create them? She was given a position in Overwatch that was essentially a trial recruit, but held the title of research director. Torbjorn Lindholm, who had been a longtime critic of her work and part of the initial group who gave warnings against the advancement of AI, particularly disliked her, yet they still worked together on a new weapons system designed to fight the Omnics. The Siege, a mixture of drones that could not be detected by the Omnics and large turrets. The UN was not delighted about her inclusion in Overwatch, which was argued about for a few weeks, but ultimately it was decided that Liao would be given a field evaluation. Liao was deployed to Canada, where the events of Sojourn take place, being told that this was her chance, either prove herself or be removed from the team. After the successful rescue, she met Vivian Chase and offered to repair her eye, which the commander refused, uncomfortable with being in the presence of one who had helped design the Omnics. The Overwatch team, combined with the CAF, the Canadian forces, then got together to create a plan, one that would wipe all Omnics from the southern Canadian cities to Toronto. A while later, Commander Chase agreed to allow Liao to finally look at her eye, which had been shattered early in the mission. Liao said that she couldn't replace it, due to it being an older model, but could give her new ones, even offering more upgrades to her cybernetics. Still wary, Chase declined, but afterwards was taken aback by how much nicer the new lenses were. Later, when in the armory, Liao offered her feedback but was verbally reproached by a still mistrustful Torbjorn. Her and Chase had a discussion about it in which Chase asked if the scientist had any regrets. Of course she did, but her and her company had taken all steps to ensure this had not been the outcome, and she knew that people would want her to apologize, but she refused, even pointing out that Torbjorn also had a hand in the creation of the Bastion units and the Titan units. After a small spat between both of the mechanics in which Torbjorn refused to allow Mina to take the field, both of the turrets they had been deploying failed to operate. Chase convinced Torbjorn to give Liao a call, and the two fixed the problem together, like besties. So cute. Chase agreed for Liao to give her further upgrades and was present when Torbjorn approached her to apologize, even shaking her hand. Chase and Liao then formed an allyship, working together to figure out the root cause of the war. Chase suggested an outside source controlling the Omnics, which at first was dismissed, but soon Liao agreed with the commander, and they decided that said outcome source would need to be cut off from the Omnics. While explaining to the rest of the team the plan to destroy the Omnium from the inside out, it was revealed that Liao would have to accompany them in order to shut it down, to which Jack Morrison opposed. The scientist was too valuable to them, and she'd had no formal field training. Still, Liao insisted, and eventually they allowed it. When deployed to Detroit in order to carry out the mission, the assault turned deadly. 2 Titans were released to tear through their small army. Liao came up with an idea. The Herons would carry them in by way of flight. Only 3 people could fit in, which ended up being Chase, Morrison, and Liao. Their time was limited once they started, as the Omnics would detect their presence. The trio split up, much to Liao's unease. Her reluctance proved to be correct, and she ended up getting wounded and found herself hanging from the ledge, mere moments from death. She was saved by Chase, and they worked together to deactivate their portion. When attempting to reach the last server port, one of Morrison's Helix rockets hit oxygen tanks and caused an explosion, incapacitating Liao, destroying the Omnics and setting everything ablaze. Commander Chase was able to push through due to her cybernetics and shut down the last port, rendering the mission successful, and therefore granting Liao permission to become an official member of Overwatch. After the events of Detroit, Liao was able to discover that all Omnics were receiving orders from the same source, the Anubis AI, a rogue god program located in Cairo. Later in the timeline, the scientists formed a plan. She would find Aurora and ask her to share her sentience with the Omnics, which would be enough to overpower Anubis. She fully believed that Aurora would help them because upon her creation, she had demonstrated a strict moral code. Liao explained her plan to Aurora, who was delighted to help, though the researchers discovered it would come at a cost. They would be taking her sentience and consciousness and spreading it amongst the Omnics, essentially killing her. Her soul would be forever lost, even in the event she could be recreated. Liao wanted to find an alternative, but weeks went by and Aurora grew impatient as she watched the casualties rise, and insisted that she give her life for what would become a new generation of people, her only request that it take place in the Himalayas, where she had found meaning and purpose in an abandoned temple. The Omnics were given sentience and so on. This isn't an Omnic Crisis video. Overwatch's lab in Oslo, Norway, became Liao's primary place of residence during the crisis. Out of fear of public opinion, she'd paused her research, though her work with Overwatch had regained some of her reputation, allowing her to tentatively begin her work with AI and robotics once more. She pitched the idea of an adaptive robot to Commander Morrison and Commander Gabriel Reyes, able to provide medical aid, lift, pilot ships, anything required. Initially wary, Morrison did grant her permission to continue, though made her promise she would keep it under control. Echo was created with multiple layers of failsafes in order to prevent another accident from occurring, and though Overwatch was still hesitant to put it into full service, they allowed it to go on test missions. Unbeknownst to many, she had also equipped Echo with a very general artificial intelligence, one that learned by observation. Dozens of hours spent together had Echo developing many mannerisms of the scientist. Cole Cassidy was assigned to guard Liao during this time she was working on this project, and they became friends. He was one of the few that knew of Echo's real intelligence. Through watching Echo and Cassidy interact, Liao realized that Echo's development moved along much faster when she came to view the robot as a full being, a childlike intelligence rather than an apology or an obligation. A year later, Mina Liao died. She was killed in an attack on her lab, caught in an explosion. She wondered if she'd made the world a better place. Having been outside, Cassidy rushed in and found the scientist severely wounded, sitting with her as she died. The Echo project was discontinued, though Echo was allowed to enter the field and further her intelligence and skills. She was shelved when Overwatch shut down. Torbjorn Lindholm, Jack Morrison, Lena Oxton, Winston, Vivian Chase, and Mandata were just some of the few to attend her funeral, at which Mandata gave a speech. She sought the universal truth. She sought to repay a debt not her own, which had never been hers to pay, but which weighed on her thoughts until the end. We can only pray that she is now at peace. That is the story of Mina Liao, and that's all. I find her a really interesting character. I also really like Echo. I just find her story pretty fascinating. I've been wanting to do a full lore video for a while, but I didn't really know who to do it on, and so I decided, why not a character that, a lot of people don't really know about, Like, people know that Echo is an Echo, but they don't really know the extended story of who she is and who she was. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe if you did for more unhinged videos and lore videos. Have a good day.